Tonight's invocation will be delivered by Alderperson Schultz.
Thank you, Mayor. February 28th is Ellen Kort Day. And as I was thinking about this invocation, I thought about what Ellen might say or make about where we are today as we continue to work our way through the grip of this COVID crisis and, you know, what it has on our state of normalcy. And also the last month of political oddity that at times feels like we just haven't woken up yet from a strange and disturbing sleep. Now, I know I can get all soap-boxy and up in here, and I was tempted to dive into the machinations of the political maelstrom we suffered through the last weeks, months, last 4 years. Kind of like the layered dream in the movie Inception, and we're all still waiting for the kick to pull us out. But I realize it's just my perspective, and it's just that, my own biased interpretation of, you know, how I felt about it and witnessed. But I know others in our community see things differently and feel differently, and I know that I have to find my own courage to engage each other in meaningful ways that are, you know, more mutually beneficial and not mutually destructive. And it's a challenge I think about every time I consider where we are as a society and the things we're struggling through. Ellen probably would have picked something a little bit more lifting and spiritual to share in this moment from what I've chosen, but that's just who she was. But tonight I just want to share a poem that speaks to the times we're in and the cause of social justice and personal interpretation. This is a poem called The Old Agitator from Poems of War Resistance, published in 1969. It's a little long, so bear with me. So they could do it after all. They locked him up, the good old man, behind the grated window in the wall, stole in upon his sickbed and wished him off before the rumor and the wrath began, without one woodland flower of early spring pressed to his big palm by some workman's child. Then said the honest warden, welcoming, "Why, you're rather raggy, Mr. Debs, and tall," embarrassed by a momentary cough, "but we'll fit you out as best we can." And the great proletarian, he straightened up and smiled. 10 years, so let it be. He was not wise. Well shut he would not, could not keep those lips, close shorn and thin, below those keen, unflinching eyes, and just above the unbearded fighting chin, those lips with furrows either side so deep, from mirth and sorrow and unresting sleep. And so they deemed it fit, he learned, like Jeremiah, silence in a pit. So let it be. A state must have firm laws and watchful citizens that balk against a wagging tongue. And one grown gray and gaunt with too much talk, who has long since forgotten when to pause or how to please, may trip at last, even in democracies. And chiefly, if he tamper with the young and worship not the old divinities, and when the charge is read him clause by clause, and he replies with scanty penitence, he'll find, as found that worthy man at whose incessant lips one essence took offense, the gentry of his latter audience, most ominously niggard of applause. And even though then he talk, as talk he can, he lights, like Socrates, on no defense, except reiteration of his cause. So be it. His was fair trial and due appeal under those just majestic guarantees that give the stars and stripes their destinies over a free but ordered commonwealth. That incorruptible and austere court of old men to this old man made repute. They made report, this row of staunch patricians, unto the bald, lone, tall man of the plebs. They bore no grudge, they took no gold. They may have loved him, for they too were old. But, seated in their ancient 9 positions, they sealed the prison sunset years for Debs, as vindicators of those stern traditions that tore from Black Dred Scott his freeman's shirt, and locked free child in factory dark and dirt. So let it be, there's nothing for surprise, there's nothing so old, so wearisomely grim, nothing for grief, except the shame. Grieve for the nation, not for him, for he has but begun his enterprise, and in this silence finds the lips of flame. That poem was about Eugene Debs, the great socialist and pacifist who was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment in 1918 for making an anti-war speech. Thank you.